What is up, y'all? And welcome back to episode 33 of That's No Moon Pod. Right off the bat, I want to thank all y'all for tuning in and anybody who stumbles across this YouTube page. Uh, I really appreciate it. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff from just last week to where we are now. June 14th is the date of this recording. And as of today, it seems like more and more likely that not only are we not alone in this universe, but there could be a lot more going on with these non human intelligent beings. And this is all coming from, of course, David Grush, the whistleblower, the man who is blowing the roof off the whole UFO, UAP phenomena. Obviously, if you've been tuning in to what's been going on within this certain topic, you've probably already heard David Grush, this former Air Force and person who is in charge of these intel groups within our government who are people who should know about certain things regarding our military and anything that we have technology wise. David Grush had a second showing on the News Nation with a whole bunch of new info from what he had already said from last week. Um, and not only him, there's from what has been described as being a conga line of people backing up his credibility and what he's coming out and saying to be true. Already, he's been confirmed of his credentials and his position in these certain government agencies and all of his accolades through the military and so on. Um, I was gonna make another episode a couple days ago, but I figured I'd let the second portion of the David Grush interview play out and kind of let whatever he had left to say in the interview kind of paved the way for what, of course, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp had to say on their new weaponized podcast today. Because last week, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp skipped a week of new episodes talking about David Grush because they obviously knew that David was going to come out with the story and there was going to be a second piece following um, the following week. So they waited it out and they pretty much just said they've known about this, they've been sitting on this, and once it finally got out, um, they were happy, but they still at the same time wish they were the ones to have broken the story. But I think just everything that David Grush has said, um, it doesn't even matter at this point. Even though you go on more of the mainstream news networks on TV, there's not a whole lot of chatter about what's been going on within the UFO community, especially David Grush. Um, but that's to be expected, of course. Um, but anyways, I want to talk about all the crazy things that came up after the second portion of the David Grush interview, and just kind of dive deep a little bit into what I think could be happening and just everything that he said. I think kind of a lot of it went over some people's heads. Maybe just even imagining some of the things that he's talking about and claiming to be true, which I fully believe him. And a lot of people, including not even Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, but um, Chris Lato. If you follow Chris Lato, a former military pilot as well, turned UFO investigator, he made a whole live stream video talking about David Grush and what's been going on, and he got real fired up, and he had a lot of comments that I want to talk about, which I agree with a lot. Um, you got Richard Dolan, of course. He's he just uploaded an episode on his YouTube channel talking about all this. So all these claims that David Grush has come forward with has a lot of backing behind it, and a lot of people believe him. And if these certain people believe him, then who am I to say that this guy is just trying to get some kind of clout or quick minute of fame on TV, or he's a psyop or some kind of plant from the government trying to fool everyone else when we've really been the ones being fooled all along, unless, of course, you really pay attention to what's been going on for all these years. David said that there's multiple UFOs, UAPs that we have, at least a dozen of them, half of them to be in good shape, and the other half to be in not so good shape, probably crashed or shot down by us. Um, I know multiple people have come out and said this to be true as well. He said that he has heard that people in our military, American soldiers, have died while either working on these crafts or possibly some kind of contamination with the um, chemicals or the elements or whatever these crafts or these beings are made of, probably ain't good with our human bodies and our skin and our bloodstream. And we've known that the government has put the hit out on certain people throughout time. Go back to JFK, all the conspiracies that have been floating around our world for the past 100 years or so. If they weren't true, they would have went away. And it's the fact that they're even more relevant today as they were back then, or you go back 20, 30 years ago. the more and more we progress and advance in technology, we'll be able to figure these things out. And from what David Grush is saying, we've been having all this technology and we've been having all these capabilities within our reach and could be put to good use for obviously our technological advancements in our military, um, our vehicles that we drive every day, our houses, our health, our medicine, our infrastructure. Everything could be so much more than what it is already. But from what David Grush is saying, it's been withheld from the human population besides these certain individuals within these secret programs who only is on a need to know basis, and a guy like David Grush who should be given all the access in the world to these certain programs and these certain people who are involved in working on these certain specific programs is denied access. I mentioned earlier about Chris Lato and how he had a live stream and he was just pretty much giving his play by play on the Grush interview and just kind of what's been going on with Arrow and Congress, and he got real fired up and emotional talking about just when you think about the people who have known about all these secret programs and all these secret extraterrestrial crafts and beings for 100 years, nearly keeping it a secret from the same people that they are, the same species, and keeping information to themselves. And not only that, but continuing to lie to us throughout all these years. And Chris Lato got real fired up and got real colorful with his language. But it was cool to see that perspective because I haven't seen someone get that fired up regarding this yet. Because, um, like I said, I think a lot of stuff that David Grush has come out and said goes over a lot of people's heads. And I think when you really kind of just take it all in, clip by clip, and you really just start to think about each thing individually, that's one of those things where it would definitely fire me up if I was Chris Lato, an ex military pilot, someone who, you know, they give their oath to their country. And I'm sure he feels even more lied to, knowing that people just continue to act like we're stupid and we don't need or have the right to know about anything that goes on within certain walls within our government and military, which sounds crazy because if there have been US soldiers or US citizens killed, human beings killed from these certain extraterrestrial spacecraft or whatnot, or people being silenced because they know too much and may be a threat to their secret group of people who walk among us every day and go to sleep every night knowing that they're lying to the public, and while their bank accounts get bigger and they wake up and eat breakfast in their big house on the hill, get in their nice car and drive in their nice suit, they continue to lie to the same type of people every day, withholding information and just holding us back as a human race for money and power. And of course, if what David Grush has said about the Mussolini Italian UFO crash way back before even Roswell, where the Italian government recovered this UFO that crashed and started a secret program right there regarding its technology and started reverse engineering going into World War II. And sure enough, here comes Roswell and everything regarding the atomic bombs and certain presidents throughout time, JFK, like I said, maybe wanting to let the people know a little too much about certain things that people didn't want us to know about. And here comes Bob Lazar. You can think what you want about him, but I think, like Roswell, his story becomes a lot more credible with all of this. It just makes too much sense when you add up all the evidence instead of trying to find certain, you know, plot points within this whole phenomena that, you know, you would consider a plot hole maybe in this whole UFO story, but it makes a lot more sense when you just kind of take it all in instead of fight back and try to, just discredit all these people that continue to come forward throughout time that people just continue to not listen to and take seriously. I saw something on Twitter talking about someone possibly similar to David Grush in a certain position to where he described being in, I believe it was Indonesia, while um, on active duty. Um, and he said that him and a few other of his guys within his uh, squad, while he was in service, they stumbled upon a area within their base to where a football field sized UFO was being loaded up with military weaponry, and there were soldiers there who spoke English, so Americans with full on assault rifles and night vision tech, bulletproof vests, the whole 9 yards. And they stopped this certain soldier and his whole crew with them and get their whole IDs or whatever and tell them that you never saw this, turn around, head back. He took their ammunition And from what this guy claimed, not only were they putting in all this weaponry in this UFO, said it was, I believe it was shaped like a octagon type, and there was a bottom piece that hovered by the ground while the main portion of this huge UFO was being loaded up, while the bottom part levitates up and connects to the UFO. And they say that it just hovers up above the trees, not completely silent, with a little kind of hum, electrical hum, and says it just bolts off without disrupting any of the trees at a crazy speed and no sound or nothing. But from what he was saying, that the inside seemed to be what was the football length field. So you step from the outside, it doesn't seem as big, but once you step on the inside, it's humongous. So there's some crazy interdimensional type thing going on within these crafts, which is something that David Grush has said in this second part of the interview, to where that's why he's not calling them straight up aliens or ETs or whatever. He refers to them as non human intelligence, which means they could be not from another planet necessarily, but they could be from another dimension, which means they could be around us at all times and we just can't see them. And we could never see them just because we simply don't have those specific senses. And if their technology and their crafts are capable of not just flying at the speed of light or faster, but having the capability to morph and form into and teleport into another dimension while still being in our own third dimension. I had a conversation and I was explaining to this person how, when we're watching a TV show and it's in 2D, just because it's in 2D doesn't mean that it's not real, obviously. It's obviously a real thing. It's just the people or the cartoon on the TV show just can't simply fathom that there's someone watching them in another dimension, us being in the third, or when you read a book or write a book and you're imagining the words in your mind, you're taking that first dimension of the words and putting it in your mind and you're making it into something greater. So you're taking these first dimension words on this paper and you're turning it into something else within your mind, which I think is something that has to do with this whole thing regarding how these non human intelligent beings are able to operate these UFOs and continue to fly around and maintain this secrecy within our whole universe for this long. I mean, come on. But of course, right? No matter what, nothing, including them, I bet, nothing is perfect. So why would they not be able to somehow crash one of these things or for one of us to shoot one down, right? I mean, come on. We got some crazy stuff within our arsenal throughout time, there has to have been crashes with these non human intelligent beings in them sometimes, or us having some sort of dogfight with them and shooting them down, them shooting our own US soldiers down, killing US citizens, scientists, engineers working on these things. All these things that David Grush is saying are just world changing, life changing for all of us when you really just slow down and think about everything. That Italian crash, I know, has some people saying that it was a made up story, but it was so long ago. The Vatican being involved somehow, of course, right? The Vatican has always been sketchy since day one. Everything about it. Why wouldn't they know some sort of knowledge about aliens, non human intelligence, treaties? Imagine if these non human intelligent beings have made treaties with human beings, regular people like you and me, regarding the secrecy and information with all these crazy crash UFO technology. David Grush, he didn't say that's the case, but he pretty much said that's the case. I don't know if we're ready for it, y'all. I don't know if I am. I know I've accepted all these things to be true for a long time now, and I think a lot of people have, but I think, you know, like a lot of people keep saying, where's the proof? Show us the pics. And I'm with them, the people that say that. And once that day comes, I don't know how I'm going to act, y'all. But it's been a long time coming, that's for sure. And I agree with Chris Lato and how emotional he got with these people withholding all this info for such a long time for greed. But I believe all these things to be true. And I think that, if you believe in karma or whatever you believe in, I think this right here, right now, me talking in this mic, this isn't it. There's more. More is still to come, not just in this life, but in whatever comes next. And we all know deep down inside within our own DNA cells and within our own brain why we're even here in the first place has to deal with everything that's been going on in secret. But it kind of helps me think about, because at this point, the woo is just completely out of there. So you could pretty much go as crazy as you want with what comes next in the next life. what all this means for humanity going forward within the next 20 plus years. Can't even imagine. I hope things like this start to bring change, not only in my favorite subject, the UFO subject, but the world subject, the human race subject. I think the entire world can benefit from all this once it's fully out there for the public to make their own decisions and decide for themselves what to believe instead of some random old guys in a suit. But go check out Chris Leto's latest episode of Leto Files on his YouTube channel. Of course, go check out Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp's Weaponized podcast. Richard Dolan, of course. All these legit guys within this certain subject who know people like David Grush, who've known people like him for a long time, and I've just been waiting for these days, or just these days like this, to have finally come, because this is some of the craziest times to be alive regarding these certain subjects, and it's exciting. Let me know what y'all think, because like I said, I'm still kind of trying to process all the info that has just been coming out left and right throughout the week. Um, of course, if you're still listening to the pod, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Um, I'll end this with, of course, the Las Vegas UFO alien crash that happened literally either the day of or the day after the first part of the David Grush interview came out. I'm sure everyone's heard this story because it's somehow gotten even more publicity or trendy on social media, I feel like, even more than the David Grush whistleblower interview, um, which is crazy, but it's because this story is even crazier. Um, so, if you haven't heard, a family in Las Vegas late at night feel and hear a thud, a crash near or on their property. So, of course, they go outside and investigate. And from what this family claims, and there's video of this, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the kid on the video going a whole play by play on from what happened in this video and this alien crash, air quotes crash. Um, so the family goes out and they're freaking out. They call the cops. They're saying they see a 10-foot tall, skinny alien creature with big eyes, a big mouth, and it's hiding behind their tractor in their backyard. And there's two of them, and they're looking at them, and they're scared. And if you see on the video, they creeping in the backyard and trying to zoom in this dark backyard on these 10-foot crazy looking alien creatures. And they call the cops, and the cops come, and I'm sure everyone's seen the body cam footage of that green object falling from the sky, which I've heard is most likely a shooting star, which right now I'm gonna agree with. I'd say it's a shooting star, but when you take the whole story in account with people coming out saying and confirming this, uh, the kids seem genuine, saying they're not doing it for clout. Why would they? How the hell are they gonna do anything for clout regarding UFOs and all this? They're not gonna get money from any of it. And supposedly the whole house, their whole property has been pretty much on lockdown from the public because of course people are gonna want to go see this whole crash site. The picture of the indention in the ground, the ring camera capturing the footage of the crash, sound, at least the thud. In the video, I can't really see anything that stands out, but the whole story and situation is real creepy. And when you take into consideration the cops showing up saying, you know, don't call us, joking to them if they see the alien again, them stopping the car driving by asking if they seen anything, and just the whole situation with the family genuinely seeming like they're scared. One of the kids had a gun on him, so obviously he's preparing for something being there. And I don't know, unless they're tripping out on some Vegas legal, all of them at the same time, seeing something, who knows? Um, I don't know what to believe necessarily. I just think that the story itself is one of those crazy stories that seems too good to be true, but at this point, who's to say, right? Especially when you think about where they go, how they get away. They're probably there all along. We would just have no way of seeing it. Um, I hope that family's doing okay. If that's true, that their whole house has been kind of quarantine zoned. Um, that's scary. But like I said, I don't know what to think on this whole Vegas UFO crash story, but it was pretty much the cherry on top of the whole David Grush interviews. And hopefully, more and more info comes out throughout the week. More things get cleared up. I can't wait to see all the people who come forward and support David Grush, and hopefully Joe Rogan gets him on his pod, or hopefully he gets Jeremy Corbell back on the pod with them maybe, and they could go over the whole story and dive really deep into everything that he's saying. I think that would be kind of the next step in this whole story, and I think that's the next one to come. And I'm excited, super stoked. I can't believe what's going on. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate every single one of y'all who tunes into this. Um, Comment down below all your thoughts, because this is one of the craziest times in our life, I believe. Um, if you want to troll, that's cool. You'll probably get removed, but like I said, that's cool. Um, I don't want to hold anyone back, but at the same time, um, you know, I do what I want. It's my channel. But like I said, speak your mind freely. It's all love at the end of the day. One of the things I really wanted to say, go follow me on Snapchat at admire my moon pie. I'm posting full pages of every comic book that I post on my IG, because on my Instagram at admire my moonsalt, I'll be posting more portions, panels of the comic books, and especially more of the variant covers. And if you want to read the full comic book, the full thing, go follow me on Snapchat at admire my moon pie. Follow me on Twitch at admire my moonsalt. I be gaming more. Um, just re-downloaded Call of Duty, so I'm gonna hop back in on that. Thanks again for all y'all. I really do mean it. Week in and week out. I'll be back next week. But until then, y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Y'all stay safe. And I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.